Hey friends, thank you so much for joining for another amazing episode. But before we get started, I have a quick announcement and I'm going to make it quick, I promise. Now, remember we're talking about the contest. It starts this week for 10 weeks leading up to my 100th episode. Also, we're looking for 10,000 downloads, and not to mention the Olympics is right at the end of our contest. So here's the thing. This is how you can win on a weekly basis. What I'm asking is everybody to go subscribe, give us a 5-star, give us a review, screenshot me and tag me on Instagram at Sylvie_cyclist, and you will go in to win that week. I will be going on live. Well, I'll be making the announcement Friday on my coaching episode as to who wins the prize. So please share this with your friends. Go in and put a great comment and put your notifications on. You don't want to miss out your opportunity to win. And I'm going to have an overall prize for everybody who subscribes from now until the end of the contest. Thanks a lot, guys. And I so appreciate you. Have an amazing day and enjoy the episode. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Secrets in the Saddle, all things cycling with your host, Sylvie Daou. And we have the amazing ARIANE Bonhomme, who is here. She's one of our Canadian track athletes and road cycling. We're going to dive into that. But she is in Toronto, well, in Milton, training on the track for Tokyo Olympics. So we're going to dive into all that's going on there. But here's a little intro before we really bring her out and we get into, getting to know ARIANE. Okay, so she's 26. She's from Gatineau, Quebec, right down the street from me. And she's been racing for around 15 years. And 10 of those were on the track. So this is like the latter part. She's been part of the Cyclery Racing team. So here's another, the ladies who have, absolutely excelled through that race team since 2013. She's also a member. She's also the member who's been on the team the longest. I was like, hey. She's qualified for Tokyo, as I mentioned, on Team Pursuit squad since fall 2017. And she's participated in 3 World Championships and Commonwealth Games with them since. She's also been cycling on the track. Oh, she started on the short track speed skating and moved into cycling in grade 7. So she is currently studying in health sciences and sexual health, and she would like to move on in midwifery to a midwifery degree and pursue that after her cycling. So we're going to talk about that too. So welcome, ARIANE. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, it's cold here. I don't know what it's like in Milton right now, but you get to ride inside a lot. So
yeah, it's pretty similar right now. It was warm for a bit and then got cool again.
I know, like yesterday was gorgeous and today is like 0 degrees. I don't know. So what I love to do is really to dive into the background and where and how did you get, so we know that you came from short track speed skating. How did you get into cycling at such a young age, or like as a teenager?
Yeah. I did my first race like the summer between grade 6 and grade 7. I've always been very competitive in all sports. Like I've done tons of sports. The ones that stuck with me the most was basketball, speed skating, and cycling throughout like end of elementary school and kind of beginning of high school. And I kind of started doing some racing on the road with speed skating, and it's pretty good for cross training for the short track. So yeah, we started doing that. They started a little club around Gatineau with the speed skating club. We did it for a few years. I did the 3 sports at the same time for a few years, and then ended up quitting basketball and speed skating pretty much at the same time when I injured my knee. And obviously those sports with the running and the skating are quite hard on the knees, and cycling was really the only one I could do with no pain. And yeah, at that time it's pretty hard for like a 14, 15-year-old to, I just wanted to race and to be competitive and to participate and be with my friends. And I, I couldn't really do that in basketball or speed skating. I had to do rehab and being benched and stuff because I couldn't play or race. So, I mean, I wasn't really into doing that whole rehab thing. It was just kind of, cycling was like, I can do it, I'll do it. Sounds great. And then
So you're able to get right onto the bike regardless of what happened to your knee, like at that time?
yeah, it was the one thing that didn't give me much pain. I had a bit of knee problems throughout cycling. It was definitely the one thing that like I could do though. With some rehab and physio as well, but not as bad as the running and all in basketball.
Oh, yes, that's right. And so Ariane mentioned the kids club, which is actually called the Cuzdal. And it's a club that my kids are actually in, which was kind of cool because they're a pretty prominent young kids club. And it's cool that they, produce, I don't know who else has gone on to pro racing like yourself from that club, but it's kind of interesting that that's where you came from. Now, moving forward, so you got into the club, and that's kind of where you decided to get into one sport. And so where did it go from there? Because you got picked up by Cyclery, and how did that all happen?
Yeah. So I raced on the Quebec circuit as a youth for, I mean, quite a while. I did definitely like 4 or 5 years of it. It's so well organized. I really, really enjoyed it. We had like 5 or 6 race weekends a summer that were like 3 races in 2 days over the weekend. So that was really awesome. I did that, and I rode track for the first time, I think my last year cadet, which you would be 16, I think. Yeah, 15 or 16. So that was kind of my first time. I rode in Bromont with
Okay. Yeah.
one of my friend. So that was the first time. And then I raced a bit. Yeah, I did nationals as a cadet. It was actually pretty funny. One of the story from my first track national as a cadet, my best friend Kinley Gibson, which used to be also on the women's team pursuit squad, we both raced there. She was also brand new to track. She came from Alberta. She was the only girl that wasn't from Quebec that flew to Bromont to race. And I mean, I had no idea who she was, but we got last and second last.
That's awesome.
And I had no idea who she was, but I was just so happy I beat that Alberta girl. And now like moving on, something like 7 years, we're both on the women's national like team pursuit squad, racing World Cups and
You're
World
looking at
Championships
each other
together. So yeah. So
well,
it's
fun.
it kind of tells you that it's not only all talent from a young age that makes the difference, I guess. But yeah, that was pretty awesome. And yeah,
Did she
so I got on
did
the
she
Cyclery.
race? Sorry,
Yeah,
did she race on Cyclery as well? No,
yeah,
eh? Yeah, so it's kind of
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. It was awesome. I do miss her dearly. Um, yeah, so I got on the Cyclery in 2013. I raced with the OBC for a little bit before that, a
okay.
couple
Yeah.
years. Um, and then my second year junior, Jenny approached me wondering if I would want to be on the team, and like obviously yes. By that time it was quite a young team. I think it was maybe Jenny's second year directing it. It wasn't as well established as it is now, but I mean, that sounded pretty cool. Racing, being able to race. I was the only junior, so being able to race with older women. I mean, older. They were like U23, but for me.
Yeah.
And
All
then
women.
Jenny, I
Yeah.
knew Jenny from the OBC because
Yeah.
she coached us for a bit, kind of after her accident and her concussion. Um, and I think she did before. It's a bit of a blur, but I know she was there before, and then she was gone for a bit, and I was like, where is she? And
I
then
remember I remember hearing her the Jenny True is now, part of the OBC and Dawn working with
yeah,
Dawn. I was like, oh, who's this Jenny True girl?
yeah,
Because I was like, I was looking for coaches for my club, but it's funny, like just looking back there, oh my gosh. And like, yeah, she did great things and then moved quickly on to cyclery
yeah,
and built quite a crew of women.
yeah. So yeah, I've been on the cyclery ever since. I think the goal of the cyclery was always to kind of bring people um, to the pro ranks, which I feel like I failed doing since I've been on the team for
What?
like 9 years now. Um, yeah, but they've always supported me through my track goals, which has been, I mean, incredible. I've never had the pressure to race during the summer if I had to prepare for a track event, or just had to do a big block of training. So I've always had their support through everything. I definitely couldn't have done it without them. Jenny, Chris, and Vince from at the Cyclery as well. Like the the support also in just in equipment from the Cyclery is huge. Like it's so expensive to race. Um, yeah, to raise bikes. I mean, we all know it.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, having that support has been absolutely huge for me. So I'm glad I'm still around 9 years later.
Okay. Like, I think you far exceeded your expectations from what you're talking about. And it's funny because like I'll all the girls that I interview, they all had like, well, not all the girls, like most of the Canadian girls have had like been coached by Jenny, and then most of them are in the track or on the track, and now Jenny's on the track. So it's just kind of like everybody's like kind of like migrated there together. But I know she's not your coach, so she's
Exactly. Yeah.
taking care of a whole different. So I know you like road and I know you like track. What between the two that like the pros and cons, like what do you like better? Because you were asked to be part of the Canadian pursuit team, or you qualified for it. So now are you mostly in the track? Do you get to go out riding, or do you get to do some road racing?
Yeah. It's definitely with Team Pursuit we can and we kind of have to race both, um, on the road and on the track. Like if you look at all of the world, most of the Team Pursuit riders are especially in Europe, like a lot of men are on the world tour or racing pro, just like the women. So it's very important to kind of keep that more aerobic part of training into the equation. It's Team Pursuit is a very funny and complicated beast, and it's very anaerobic in one way and very aerobic in another way. So you kind of have to merge those two together at the right time, at the right place to be able to deliver a performance at the end of the day. So yeah, definitely keeping a lot of road. We don't have any road racing right now, so it makes the Olympic build-up a bit different than what we hope for, but we're adjusting. But yeah, the difference between road and track, I mean, I really love both of them, for sure. They're different. I've had a lot of success on the road. Um, I mean, I picked track because first, I mean, it's awesome. Team Pursuit is amazing. I definitely had more success and more chances of achieving my Olympic goals in track for now. Yeah, so that's kind of how it came around. I actually, it's funny because sometimes I wonder what it would have kind of looked like. In 2017, I had actually signed a pro contract with Cola Vida to race with them in 2018. And unfortunately, they folded at the end of 2017 when Cola Vida just decided to kind of pull the plug on the sponsorship. And that's kind of also at the time when I got into the elite Team Pursuit squad. So I sometimes I kind of wonder what would have happened if I would have raced with Colavita in 2018, if I would have decided to go on the road, or if I would have kind of decided to still do both. But I guess I'm here now going to the games, hopefully winning a gold medal. So I mean, there are worse things, right?
Yeah, I would say maybe it happened for a reason.
Yeah.
Like you weren't supposed to go to Europe and race over there. You stay in Canada and go for gold at Tokyo. So
Yeah.
let's just move into the topic about Tokyo. First, like, how do you feel with having such big expectations? Well, let's first, before we can get into that, can you give us a bit of an insight as to, is Tokyo going to be postponed, or are they going forward with just like a very closed environment for the Olympics? Like, do you get updates frequently on what's going on, or do you just stay training
We
for the
definitely
date?
do get updates on how it's going to happen.
Right.
They're not going to be postponed if they're not to happen in the dates that they planned. They're just canceled. That was they said that we're only going to postpone them for a year. So if it doesn't happen this summer, then it's just canceled. We haven't heard anything from that. And honestly, I just don't want to think about it. Like if it happens, it happens, but I do not want to worry about that. I think
Yeah,
there's no
really.
point of, there's no point of thinking about
Stressful.
it. Like I don't want to be worried about whether it's going to happen or not. And I would rather, as an athlete, be ready to win a gold medal and have it not happen than spending too much energy worrying about whether it happens or not and not be ready for when race day comes. So I'm trying not to think about that. We're getting quite a bit of updates about protocols though once we get there, such as like we need to stay in the village. not see anyone outside of our bubble wearing masks, leaving quite early after our last competition. Yeah, obviously not being able to go see any other sports. So it'll be quite closed off, and a lot of the like Olympic experience will be a bit taken away from us. But I mean, I'm just glad that as of now we're racing on August 2nd. So that's all I care about right now. Really.
Yeah, no, seriously, I'm with you. Like the best thing is to not put any stress on yourself thinking that far ahead. And I would imagine if you're an Olympic athlete or an athlete training for the Olympics right now, you wouldn't be putting yourself in jeopardy anyways, while you're training and preparing, because I can imagine right now that you're probably keeping your limitations to a minimum: home, track, grocery store, like,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
It's pretty funny. I was actually supposed to come home to Gatineau this weekend and
Oh,
made the call last minute to stay here because with the border closure between Gatineau and Ottawa, most of my resources for training, like gym, physio, and stuff, are all in Ottawa, and the stress of having to like show people papers to cross the border and the stress of maybe not having access to that, I was just like, I'm just gonna stay here. I mean, yeah, Ontario's on a full lockdown right now, and it doesn't feel that much difference for us here because even no pandemic, like all we do during training is like being at home, going to the track, going to the store, like
yeah, eat,
riding
sleep,
outside.
train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel too much different here right now, except that you need to get in line for the grocery store. You need to wear a mask at the track. But other than that, we're pretty lucky that they allowed the velodrome to keep open only for Olympic athletes. So it's only the people who are qualified for Tokyo that can enter the velodrome, and obviously coaches and mechanics and stuff. But yeah,
Have
we're
your own
pretty lucky.
training times, and that's it. It's just you guys in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. So now, like, you're doing all of that and you're in school. So explain how your day works, because hey, you need to have something outside of training, I imagine, to keep yourself busy and keep your mind, on something else sometimes. How is that working? And where are you going to school right now? And I guess it's all online, obviously.
Yes, all online. I'm actually done in 3 days.
Oh
um,
my gosh.
and won't be having to do courses until the fall. So in 3 days, it's um, all beans to the games, which is pretty exciting. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing some school part-time, kind of not too crazy. So my days aren't filled with school either. I have time to relax and take care of myself and be able to, recover from training. But yeah, I've been doing kind of two courses at a time through Laval in Quebec City. So right now I'm doing a sexual health program in the hope that it will help me get into midwifery. Um, it's a very competitive program to get into midwifery, so I'm in no rush of getting in either. I don't really want to start until I'm fully done with competing at a high level, since it's pretty intense. It's full time in person. Um, some of the school don't really allow you to take a leave, so I just wouldn't want to have to stress with that during cycling still.
I think
So
midwifery would be more hands-on, like in class. Would it be?
exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what they're doing right now about it, but it's definitely, there's no online program for sure.
That in Laval as well? You're going to do it in Quebec?
Uh, I'm hoping to get into UBC in Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, but
Go over to
we'll see.
Vancouver. Go
Yeah.
to Victoria. Get away from this weather. Go over there.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of nice. But did you say in September?
No, I wouldn't apply. I still haven't applied. I Yeah, once I'm done cycling, which I don't really know when it is, but yeah.
So there's
In
no
a
real
couple of years.
timeline, but I like the fact that you know where you're going and what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because some people are kind of like, I'm not quite sure. And I think it's kind of important to have that, plan. It's not like a plan B, but like a future plan. Because now thinking about where you are right now, how long, like, what is your 5 year, say like your 5 year goal for your future? Now you said, well, you're not really sure, you're not finished. Do you have an idea of, you know, after Olympics, like what you'd like to pursue? Like what is after Olympics for you?
Yeah, it's a hard one. I don't really want to put a deadline on it. I definitely want to keep doing it for as long as I enjoy it. I've been asked a lot if I would be there in Paris, which is now only 3 years away.
Oh,
um,
in Paris. Oh,
and
okay.
I
Oh,
I don't know. Like I don't want to put a deadline on it because I just want to do it for as long as I enjoy it, and I don't want to put the pressure on it to have to keep going for another 3 years on the track if I don't want to. Um yeah, and I think I've always kind of taken it year by year. In cycling, even before this. I mean, I've always wanted to go to the games, but I think every year, um, it's a thing of mine, like just saying like I might be done this year, like kind of helps me. Just knowing that I have this option really makes me, I don't know how to say that, but knowing I have the option to quit anytime I want makes me really realize that I'm doing it because I want to and not because I put a deadline and I have expectation from people around me either. So I don't think, like, I don't want to be done after Tokyo. I actually have, one of my goals is to go to Commonwealth Games, which would be only the year after, yeah, to 2022, with the next gen squad, and hopefully kind of mentor them into team pursuit. And I have some goals for the individual pursuit. I'd like to win it. So having more individual goals, and helping the next gen, in Jenny's squad, I think,
yes, I was gonna say Jenny's squad.
yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah, I
definitely
mean,
like it's definitely kind of important for me to help them. Most of my teammates right now are retiring. They've been around for like a few Olympic cycles now, and most of them are ready to move on. And I think it's something for me that, being like, once I got in the team with them, was so helpful, and just having their knowledge and being able to train with them at speeds that I had never gone to, was like massive for my development as a team pursuiter. And knowing that the next gen, and possibly the girls who are going to represent Canada at the Paris Olympics, won't have this opportunity to learn from my team. um I mean, it makes me pretty sad. There's definitely a lot of talent there, and if I can help them with my knowledge, what I learned with World Cup experience, World Championship, and I'm gonna have, you know, Olympic experience soon. If I can do that, I mean, I would love to. Whether I keep going to Paris with them or not, I don't know yet, but I definitely, one of my goals is to, you know, give them as much knowledge as I can before I go to, like, you know, bring the knowledge down and keep having a
Well, I think
successful
that's
women's
always good as
team.
as an athlete to start giving back and to the next level of kids coming up through the ranks. I mean, I think having somebody like you would be, you know, I was to say like invaluable. Just like having Jenny, but having somebody who comes off and, off the Olympic cycle, and you've got your own goals, but you also have time to give back to, a club that's actually, in the same velodrome. I think that would be amazing. And, I'm sure it'll happen because it's always nice to give back and like pass on your knowledge for sure. Cause you can't get it otherwise until you experience it yourself, and you need to get
For
there
sure.
with the help of someone.
Yeah.
So that's my feeling anyways,
Yeah.
because you don't, these kids don't know what they don't know, and you can pass along a lot of that on. Now, I love that. I love that so much. And so one of the last things I wanted to ask you, since you're so busy there in the velodrome, and I know you're finished school like in 3 days, so maybe this is like, but for anybody who's pursuing like big dreams like that, you're in school, how do you manage your day and your week to make sure that, you get your studies and you're ready for tests, but you're also, the expectation you need to bring out on the track? Like, how do you manage it all? If you can give some great insight to that. There's your first set of insights and feedback here. How do you make it all work?
Yeah. I mean, I think the best person to answer this question would be Annie, which she's one of my teammates. She's training for Tokyo right now in the team pursuit, and she is also full-time med school.
I'm actually interviewing her at the end of April. Yeah, she's like, can you talk to me at the end of April? I'm like, sure. Because I think she has exams. You would probably have exams too.
Yeah, she would definitely be the best one to give tips and tricks on how to manage your time with school and training. But I mean, yeah, I try. If I don't have a schedule, like, I'll be pretty all over the place. So just having, a training schedule at least a week ahead of time, and being able to like pick the days or the times that I'll be able to study, and knowing when I won't be able to study, like, and not kind of putting pressure on myself. Like, we had a camp in the last couple of weeks also, and it was also kind of finals week. So I knew like the days that I could study, and I know myself well enough to be like, there is no way I can study today. And like, because we have a track session and a gym session, and I know that after that I'll be totally brain dead, and that there's no way, so like, I don't go home and try to study and then get frustrated because it's not working. So like, I was like, I know I won't be able to study on whatever Tuesday and Friday, but I have a rest day on Wednesday, and I only have a shorter road ride on Thursday, so I'll be able to do most of it there. So it's kind of like, yeah, planning ahead, like a week ahead. I mean, is good enough for me, at least, to like really know when I'll be able to study. And yeah, I've like come to know myself well enough that now I can, yeah, I know when I'll have the mental energy to do it and when I won't, and I can kind of plan it that way.
Now for your school, is that all at night, or at at your own pace, or do you have to be in classes?
Um, it's in my, well, it's at my own pace. I mean, we have kind of lectures and readings and
Okay.
work or whatever to do every week. So you kind of have to
Mm-hmm.
keep up with the week to week demand of the courses, but there's
Mm-hmm.
no like online lectures that you have to connect at a certain time
Oh,
on a
okay.
certain
That makes
or,
it good.
yeah, it was pretty good. Um, so yeah, I was able to get it done. I mean, almost done in 3 days. So hopefully,
3 days.
yeah.
But then you got finals, right? And then you're done for the summer.
Or I'm done finals in 3 days. So
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
like
Done
officially done.
school in 3 days. Yeah,
Done, done. Whoa.
yeah,
So what are you gonna do
yeah.
fill your time with? Oh, okay, just a second. I did read you took up knitting.
Yeah.
So actually Jenny had that in her bio, and I was like, I wonder if she's just kidding about that, because you know how people like, yeah, I just, I knit. And
Oh
then I saw it
no,
in yours, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is a real
this is a
thing, because
thing.
it said one of your teammates showed you. I mean, I knit too, and I get it. Like, you just sort of something to do. You're producing something. It kills time.
I mean,
So, what
that's
knitting
a
project have you done?
it's a very funny story. So
Oh, I want to hear it.
last year, so leading into 2020 World Championships, um, so like December 2019 to February 2020, we were in New Zealand um, to train basically for Worlds and for the Olympics that were supposed to happen. Um, and there's this awesome little knitting store in the town we were staying in, which is in Cambridge. This is where the, well, one of the New Zealand velodrome is at. Um, and there's a little knitting store, and my teammate Georgia, she has knitted for, I don't know, very long time. She actually learned it in school. She went to a Waldorf school. And apparently you have
Oh,
knitting classes there, which is awesome.
Waldorf. Yeah, it's open mind. That's awesome.
Yeah, so she was, I don't know,
Is she like a sweater knitter? Like she did, like, or
no.
socks? Like she just like produces, and hats and scarves.
Georgia, it's so funny because we talked about it later, and she's like, I like to have small little projects that are done really quickly.
Oh,
Um, I mean, it's so funny. We're
so
kind
everybody's
of
got socks and mittens
yeah,
and scarves
we're
and hats.
pretty much the like opposite in that way, that like she like fast moving kind of paces and finish a project, get another one started, she's always on the go. And then I've been knitting, I think, since, I mean, it's been a year and a couple months now that I started knitting, and I've done like sweaters, like I think 3 of them. And
Seriously?
I like the big long project. So in that way, Georgia and I are the total opposite. It was awesome. But
But you still
yes,
sit and knit together.
yeah,
Uh,
she showed me how to knit when we were in New Zealand just before Christmas 2019, and I made a hat. I was like, that's cool. I finished it pretty quickly. I made another hat. I was like, okay, that's cool. I actually made a hat for our coach's daughter. And then I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I was like, maybe I can make a sweater. And she was like, you started knitting 3 weeks ago. You're going to make a sweater. And I was like, yep. why not? I'll take an easy one. Like, and then I started knitting a sweater during our training camp in New Zealand, like beginning of January. And I actually finished it on the plane home from Worlds in that was like beginning of March 2020. Yeah, and then, you know, I've been hooked ever since, and she's so funny because she's like, she keeps saying the student's definitely like, how do you say that? Like, better than master or something. So
Oh, like the students mastered the teacher? No, something
yeah,
like
something like that, you know. So I mean, I've been loving it. It's great. I'm doing all sorts of projects. I have this scarf right now that I'm
okay,
doing.
is it close by?
Yep.
Yeah, bring it over.
Okay, I'll be back. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, I'm still
Almost
surprised.
done.
Like, wow, I love
Yeah,
the colors. Oh, is
yeah.
it two?
It's like two layered. I've been asked why I'm doing that. It's two layered. I'm gonna like close it off here. So it's like a thick sweater, but not sweater. It's like a thick scarf, very long, very small needles. It's taken me
Gosh, small
forever.
needles.
Oh yeah. I've been
Wow.
asked like, why do you do a double layered scarf on such small needle? And I'm like, it's gonna take so long. And I'm like, yeah. What else am I gonna do? You know? I yeah. So
There's a
I actually
great
started
there's a
I
great
started it.
sweater you can make like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the amount of wool I've used for this scarf is more than it requires for a sweater. So
That's probably $100 scarf right there, based on how much wool is.
maybe.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, actually, it's not funny because I think it's great to have something therapeutic to do while you're in between everything. You can just pick up and continue where you left off. But I can't believe you did a sweater. That's really amazing. I have
Oh yeah.
not progressed past like a scarf. I'm like, I always want to do like socks.
Hmm.
But I can't sit still long enough to get things finished. That's my
Yeah.
problem when it comes to knitting. All right, so we okay, though, what else are we gonna talk about? But I am like, this is so great. Like, what else can I ask you? What else? What? Okay. Now, Ariane, if you could give some advice to a new cyclist, like I know that Jenny has like some junior like new kids, or like even if you had like a cadet, like a 15-year-old who has the ambition to, you know, go Olympics like you, what kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, that's a good one. I was actually asked that not too long ago.
Oh,
Um,
that's a good question.
it's definitely I think, and it might sound cliche, but like enjoying the process and kind of going through the motion is very important, and not missing any steps. I think one of the things I've realized is like, you know, you're 15 or 14 or whatever, and you have this big dreams of going to the Olympics, which I did at that age for sure. Um, and honestly, like looking back on it, like at that age, I had this dream of going to the games, but I never really thought that it would happen. You know, it seems so big from where I was at the time, you know, like not even being able to win provincial races. And then I had this dream of like winning an Olympic gold. But I think having small goals along the way, and kind of baby steps just makes it a lot more, first enjoyable and second manageable. I think for a period of my career after kind of junior and all, I didn't really allow myself to celebrate those small achievements, and I got myself in a pretty dark spot just thinking I was never good enough, because the one goal that I had was to make it to the Olympics, and it was hard not really not having anything else to kind of celebrate um along the way. And I just, I had goals that I met and I kind of just brushed them off, and I was like, well, I did that, but that's still not good enough to make it to the Olympics. And it's something that I've kind of came back to in the last couple of years, is to like, even a daily goal, like getting to the track, like those small steps, like even if it's like, oh, I just completed my training today, like, it's those small steps. And I was actually reading a book a couple months ago that was like, I can't quite remember the quote, but it was like, greatness is achieved by a series of very small tasks, and each of them are very doable. So it's like, instead of looking at the time I'm gonna have to ride in Tokyo in order to win a gold medal, which is fast, and sometimes it doesn't feel doable, sometimes it does, but it's like, what are all the small steps that I need to do to get there? And now I can see it better, and we have 100 days, a little less than 100 days now. And as much as, like, probably if you put me and the team on the track tomorrow, we wouldn't be able to ride that time that's required to win a gold medal, like, just going through the motion and accomplishing all those small tasks every day, I'm very confident that in 100 days we'll ride a gold medal race. So
It's all four of you, right? Together?
yeah, we're 5. So there's 5 on the team, 4 races at once. But there's 3 rounds, so we're able to rotate people from races to races. Yeah.
And it sounds like, when I think about your journey to where you are, you were almost, it looks like, at the right place at the right time for some of them, like, the Quebec group, developing their racing there, being, moving to the OBC, because that's what a lot of kids do, because they have like their program for older kids. And then Jenny actually going on there, and her bringing you into her team and getting that experience. And then, it just seems like a lot of things did fall into place for you at the right time to get you where you were. Because like you said, as a teenager, it's a dream, but it seems like, oh, how could it possibly happen? But you need all those steps to happen to get to where you are, right?
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, I think if you just focus on that one big goal, you're gonna kind of miss all those important steps around that will eventually bring you there.
Yeah. So that's awesome. I love that. And we're, of course, going to be watching you ladies in the velodrome in Tokyo. Super exciting. And I guess, like, I'm praying it's going to happen. I'm sure you are too. But like you said, you can't think about that. You're just going to an event for August, and do the best and bring home that medal. And then we'll have to have you back on, because it's so is Worlds is right after, right? Are you going there? Is there a series of competitions after Olympics?
Yeah, Worlds are still on the calendar in October. I will not go. Um,
I will
I
not be going.
I've debated it. I mean, if they still happen, they can very well be canceled, but I've debated it. I kind of wanted to go at first, and then thinking about kind of the future and wanting to race in at Commonwealth Games just a year later. I thought that taking a break right after the games, a couple months, even to just enjoy life, with family and friends and my
Yeah,
boyfriend too, uh, before kind of building back,
right.
to Commonwealth Games. And yeah, I just thought that if I kept pushing through Worlds and then took a break like in December, January, I wouldn't really have enough time to build that,
Hmm.
hopefully also individual pursued gold medal that I
That's
want to get
right,
in the
because it's
Commonwealth Games. So I wanted to do it at first and then thought about it and thought it would be best for kind of long-term goals, and mental health too, to just take a break.
I think that's really important because it's nice to hear that you gave it that thought because, tacking on all those events, even though like it's worlds and it's great and it'll be, you know, possible, but then like you said, like your real goal is Commonwealth, and taking time off, yeah, to see family and recharge, I think is super important, especially after, August. So, but with that, so then you'll have time to come back on and give us an update on how everything went down in
Yeah.
the fall. So I'm excited about that, and
Yeah.
everybody should be excited. So thank you so much to our listeners, and thank you, Ariane, for being on here. Just give me chills, to be talking to our Olympic athletes, our female Olympic athletes. And so thank you to our listeners. Let us know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode. And we'd also, Ariane, don't forget to follow us both on social media, and which is in the description of the episode. And also put your notifications on, and we would love a review, 5 stars, of course. Right, Ariane?
Always.
Always. And thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to put those notifications on so you don't miss the episodes coming up with more Olympic athletes and more amazing people who are doing things around cycling. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks a lot, Ariane, again, and have yourself an amazing day.
Thank you.